They had plenty of fun before the game at the expense of Kuzma's outfit. So check out this video that Quinn Cook posted on the gram. That's great.
Have the fishnet with the chest hair out.
That's horrifying. I'm a big fan of like NBA.
Yeah, there you go. Nick, that does look good on you, bro.
No, listen, I don't
like
mind the suit. I didn't know why they were roasting him for the suit when his back was to everybody. And it's Christmas Day, you can get away with some patterns and some different colors. That shirt,
it's pushing the limit a little bit too much.
It's too much, man. It is not, as the kids would say, wavy. That is not wavy at all, Kyle Kuzma.
Kuzma's a trendsetter, though. Watch it become a trend.
I have that same chest tattoo, though, but I would not wear that shirt. That's bad, man. That's bad. That's worse than LeBron's, the suits with the shorts.
James Harden wore that yesterday.
Yeah, that's a bad.
I kind of like that a little bit. That look. I do. I like it. It's like business and casual at the same time.
It's like business and casual.
That's what you need to have. You need to have business up top, fun on the bottom.
Wear a suit with shorts to the show one day.
I will.
Yes. Yes. Locked in. That's your Christmas gift to me. Appreciate it.
Time now for Where Would You Like to Be? Sponsored by Visa. Everywhere you want to be. The Eagles are just one win away from the playoffs after taking down the Cowboys last week. But Philly has been ravaged by injuries to the receiving core and the O-line. And now Carson Wentz's top target, Zach Ertz, is questionable Sunday against the Giants with a rib injury that he suffered last week. Head coach Doug Peterson knows the challenge ahead. Take a listen.
I think the guys really respond, obviously, to adversity. I just keep it as honest, keep it as transparent as I can with the guys, and just say, guys, this is where we're at. You know, this is who we are. Let's embrace it. You know, let's just spend each day getting better and just focus on today. And that's kind of been the messaging here down the stretch. And you know, kind of whatever happens, happens.
Brian, it's actually amazing that this team has gotten as far as it has without anyone for Carson Wentz to really throw the ball to. How have they done it? How are they in this position now?
I think you got to start with Doug Peterson, and I've been pretty hard on Doug throughout the season because I thought his team at points was underachieving. But at this point, when you have all the injuries that they have, especially on the offensive side of the ball, it takes someone strong at the helm to keep that team together. And I think Doug has done a great job of saying, hey, we lost one guy, somebody else has to step up. We lost another guy, somebody else has to step up. And not only step up, we have to play better despite that guy being gone. Doug Peterson has galvanized his football team with his leadership ability. He's been called a player's coach, but at this point, the players are responding to him. I think the second part is Carson Wentz has just played better in the last two games. And so when you look at the game against the Cowboys, he played 4 quarters of excellent football. The 2 games before that, Washington and the Giants, he played 2 quarters, but it was the second half of both of those games of excellent football. You have to have a quarterback, like Coach Mangini always says, as an elevator, a guy that can be a force multiplier, and that's what Carson Wentz has been. He made those guys who are subpar, free agent type of guys look much better than they actually are, and that's why you pay the guy. That's why you pay Carson Wentz to be one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL, because he can make everybody else better. That's what happened to this football team.
And to be fair, how are the Carson Wentz and the Eagles on the verge of clinching the NFC East despite all the injuries? That's what it says on the screen. Because they're in the NFC East.
Right.
And another team with very high expectations, at least by some, going into the year that has had their very fair share of injuries is the Rams. The Rams responded to those injuries by their quarterback regressing a bit, turning the ball over too much, and them struggling throughout the year all the way to 8-7 and eliminated. The Eagles have had their quarterback regress a bit, turn the ball over a little bit too much, all the injuries all the way to 8-7, and win and you're in. Clinch. So a lot of it is circumstantial. But where I will give Carson Wentz the most credit is exactly what you talked about at the end there. 4th quarter against the Giants, shouldn't have been in that position, but you were. And he was exceptional. 4th quarter against Washington. The offense played well enough in that game. That was not about the offense not holding up its end of the bargain. Similar to the Miami game, by the way, when the offense played well enough and the defense fell apart. Carson Wentz was exceptional. And the entire game against the Cowboys, I know they didn't score a whole bunch of points, But that was the best game he's played all year. The highest completion percentage, most yards per attempt, second most passing yards. One of his 4 games this year with a passer rating above 100. He was great in that game as you saw guys falling by the wayside. Now he's going to have to do it again against the Giants, potentially without Zach Ertz. And you can, if Zach Ertz can go, how much will the rib injury hamper him?
I've broken my ribs. I've broken my cartilage. And from the running back perspective, I couldn't go. I couldn't put myself in a position every single play. And I think Zach Ertz, similarly, will be put in the same situation. Catching the football and being tackled by guys that are a little bit smaller than you still is damaging to the ribs. Just remember, when you have a rib injury, you can't laugh, you can't cough, you can't sleep very well. All those things affect your ability to go out there and prepare yourself throughout the week and play on Sunday. It's going to be hard for Zach to be helpful in this football game.
I want to know I want you to respond to this. I think one of the reasons Carson, and I want to give him credit because you're right, he's carried guys who are, into the bench type players, 3rd and 4th stringers. But I think part of that is that a lot of the guys who are hurt were veterans. We know there are reports out about the locker room being divided about Carson and that he's not, the leader we need and so on and so forth. And a lot of those guys had more favorable experiences with Nick Foles. And so I think that they're out, they're injured. These guys coming in, they're not thinking any of that. They're thinking, I want to show either the Eagles or some other team in the NFL that I can play, that I belong in this league, that I can actually play in this league. So I think that has helped Carson be a better leader, that these guys, I think, are all ears. Is there some truth to that, do you think?
I think there's a bunch of truth to it. And I said it a couple of weeks, and I kind of compared it to the Russell Wilson situation that happened in Seattle a few years back. It was a Legion of Boom. It was Marshawn Lynch. They were the leaders of that football team. And Russell Wilson just naturally kind of played the backup role. But as Pete Carroll got rid of those guys, now Russell Wilson got elevated to the leader of that football team, and that team has taken off just a bit. Same thing with Carson Wentz. Of course, Alshon being there, a veteran. Nelson Aguilar, not as an established player, but he's been there a little bit longer than Carson. Those guys were just kind of out on their own. They're veterans. They're doing their own thing. They didn't look at Carson as the leader of this football team. Really, in most aspects, he was a golden child, given a whole bunch, but hasn't produced very much. But Carson Wentz, over the last couple of weeks, with these younger guys that look up to him as a leader, has become much more productive. And I think a lot of the guys on the team are now saying he is the leader of this football team. Lastly, I think when you talk about why has this team persevered through some of these injuries, Miles Sanders, the running back out of Penn State, over the last couple of weeks, he's had 3 of the last 4 games over 22 touches per game. He has just been one of the most explosive weapons in the NFL these last couple of weeks. That running game and his ability in the screen game has helped this football team be much better.
And even with the injuries, I think Philadelphia is going to be able to move the football because the Giants, guys are running wide open on the Giants all year long. The Giants defense, we talk about Daniel Jones and his fumbles and the quarterback situation there, Saquon dealing with the injury and then having the monster game last week. The Giants defense is the biggest reason that they have been a terrible team throughout the year. Even in their win this past week against Washington, you did let Washington score 35 on you despite playing multiple quarterbacks. And Haskins was playing one of the best games of his very young career until he got hurt. So the question to me is, if the Eagles lose, if you're right, if they lose, I don't think it's going to be because the offense is held down. I think it's going to be because this Eagles defense, once again, on the road, no-shows. The Eagles defense been one team at home, one team on the road. They're allowing fewer than 17 points a game at home. They're allowing 28 points per game on the road. The Cowboys game in Dallas. Dallas hangs 37 on them. The Cowboys game in Philly. Dallas doesn't score a touchdown. I understand it's different times of the season. Can this Giants defense, against a quarterback that's coming off the best game of his career in Daniel Jones, can this Eagles defense, can this Eagles defense step up just a bit? To me, that's the way the Eagles lose if they lose, is that the defense, all of a sudden, you have New York Giants running wide open throughout the game. I don't think it's going to be because even without